Hello, everyone. This is Jimmy Coldest. Today we are doing a sculpting video. By popular demand, people have requested the PS1 character. I'm going to be going for a cartoony PS1 character, which is slightly different from a realistic PS1 character, obviously. But the first thing we're going to need, if you've seen my other video on PS1 assets, is a grade and effects tool. I would turn lens flare and bloom down to nothing because those don't really exist in PS1 games most of the time. And we're just messing around with the resolution, really. I think that should do. If you want to turn it off and preview the puppet, it's normal atmosphere, just turn on studio lighting. But let's get down to work. Now the main aspect of PS1 graphics, if you've played games like Crash Bandicoot and such, it's primarily just the fact that things are really blocky and angular. I would say that's like the big stylistic hallmarks of that. So what's good to do is to just make sure it's set to stamp shape, clipped mirror, and grid snap is optional. Basically all you're going to do is delete these and put these big bricks here. And we're not going to leave it like this. I guess if you wanted to make a Minecraft character, it'd be useful to just leave it like a big bricky box, but we're going to do a little bit more to it. Because low poly models back in the day, they weren't just, cubes. They did have some kind of definition. It's just they had to watch how much because, every extra vertice or whatever, probably was graphically taxing. I should also mention that some things look slightly different depending on the console. Like, I would say N64 graphics, well, they're quite similar to PS1 graphics. There's some definitive hallmarks that separate them. So if you want to accomplish, that look, I would advise studying those games to pull it off. But generally, if you just want to make something that's low poly in Dreams, these are probably some good guidelines to follow. Now, since we don't can't really do this straight up and down like we did the other one, so gotta kind of just get it right, hope that you have it the right position. I actually think that the PS1 is much stronger at pulling off cartoon graphics than it is realistic graphics. This is a side tangent since we're not actually working within the PS1 engine, but it seems to me that games that had a cartoony art style aged better than ones that were, trying to go for realism. Although I suppose there are some notable exceptions. some games, you know, they're kind of charming because of their rudimentary graphics. A lot of people like Silent Hill and consider that the foremost, what do you call it, PS1 game. I suppose there's a few others. I think the atmosphere in Silent Hill definitely is top-notch. I've heard people say, though, that it didn't really peak until Silent Hill 2, which I think was on the PS2, not the PS1. But I don't really recall for certain. Never played Silent Hill. I'd heard about it. It inspired a few of my creations, but that was secondhand information. I didn't actually know what the real game looked like, or, you know, what happened. I only knew a few rudimentary details. And the description I was given was not strictly accurate, so I've always wondered what it would be like if somebody made that Silent Hill game that was told to me, because it definitely wasn't the Silent Hill that actually exists. But once we've got everything blocked out, we can begin the sculptural details. Try to match the cubes, like the flat part or the base, with the ground itself. That way that can be the bottom of his shoes when it comes time to, you know, join this all together. There we go. Level with the back. Honestly, you could have this be a character. Kind of looks like a refrigerator or something. In some ways, I think that this kind of rudimentary method is a lot more friendly to Dreams. So if you want to like save on some graphics and other things, I think PS1 might actually be a really good direction to go, or at least pseudo PS1. There are certain things that are difficult to accomplish fully, like the warping textures and whatnot. But I think we're ready to begin sculpting now. We'll start with the head, because the head is a good basis for scale whenever you're creating these things. kind of like wood carving almost. I think I'll turn off mirror for the arms. So far, so good. One thing I really like about PS1 is the hands tend to be the easiest part. They didn't really have, well, most of the time anyway, they didn't have the power to process multiple digits. So they just have the hand like a flat lump. You know, sometimes they'd have like the shape of a hand, like with fingers drawn on, but they wouldn't have, you know, precisely three-dimensional digits just weren't a thing generally. Alternatively, we could use this. It's pretty angular, but also a little bit more cylindrical. Now, there may be exceptions to the rule, but generally round, perfectly round, or spherical objects just weren't possible in the PS1. Like, usually it'd be kind of angular. Like, if they wanted to do a ball, it would look more like a dodecahedron or something. Again, though, there might be exceptions. Some people, you know, they knew how to use the hardware. They could have more involved geometric shapes. There were also sprites, you know, so you could have like a texture of a perfectly round object if it was something like a bubble, per se. Alright, let's turn this off. It's looking pretty good. One thing to keep in mind, you can alter this, you know, depending on what you're trying to accomplish, but PS1 games, they don't really have Shadows. So turning shadows off, probably a good idea. They probably also wouldn't have light cast, but there's a way to get around that. If you turn it on waxy, it basically will remove that quality. It'll still cast a little light, but it'll be a lot closer to what you want. Let's go ahead and group these and get down to making him look like something. Dear old Prime Fox. Also can turn down shininess. I think that would help quite a bit. And we'll reduce detail a bit. Just add these little details. It's very charming. I think it'd be a lot of fun to make a game with this sort of style. I probably would be given to making some changes. Like, I don't know if I'd have it purely PS1 because it's kind of neat to have certain effects. You know, like dynamic light glow and things like that. Now for the face, I tend to like to use paint flecks as opposed to the usual, you know, paint I used for the rest of it. I probably would make his irises separate. That way, if you want to move them around. Nearly visible. Maybe if we do this, use draw fleck instead. Yeah, that's much better. I also like to do this. It's not really necessary, but for some reason it always seems to look better to me, is to make them wider. I guess if you wanted, you could also have whiskers. And there you have it. PS1 character. Oh, don't forget to, if you're resizing the puppet, he has a tendency to float. Also, we might want to, cut these down so that they're at proper size. I think it's our bend point. You might need to readjust the bolts for things like this. You also might need some carving, just so that he has, more normal looking arms. But I don't want to waste too much time on little trivial things like that. think that we might have our graded effects too high. Don't want it to be too low definition. You can kind of see them better now. If you want to, you could go right down to the animations and make them as, you know, stiff as possible. But definitely get rid of springiness and set stiffness up. Another thing you might be able to do with the jump, get rid of springiness. And turn off the poses. It'll be a bit stiffer. I think there's actually even a better way to do this. But I think we've done the vast majority of what is necessary for this particular video. Hopefully you found this helpful in some way. It is mostly just watching me sculpt the character, but it gives you an idea of what to shoot for. You're mainly just looking to make them as angular as possible. And that'll be all. Here are the names of all of our lovely cult supporters. Many thanks to all of you. If you'd like to get your name in those credits, check the link in the description and head over to our Ko-fi. You can become a cultist neophyte to become credited at the end of our video, or you can become an acolyte to gain early access to videos in addition to credit. Now, if you aren't in the mood for membership, you can always leave a one-time tip.